Leicester City 1, Tottenham Hotspur 1. A game in which many thought would be a big struggle. A game in which many thought that Tottenham would get 2, 3, 4, or maybe even 5 goals. Leicester City, as they have done many times in the past, proved us wrong. So, this is the match review. I'm joined by Ash. We'll discuss the game, who our man of the matches were, and what could be coming for the rest of the season. Hello and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses for today's video, which is a match review. I'm joined by Ash. Thanks for joining me, Ash. How are you doing, mate?
How are you, mate? I'm all good, Lax. Thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great, mate. After I think as what we can say is a great result last night. Let's get right into it. So I don't know about you, but going into this game, and I know you did a video for me actually looking ahead to the season. I was filled with anxiety and worry for how bad it might be in the first game of the season. I mean, I spoke to a couple Spurs fans saying that it could be 3, 4, 5, with how he played in pre-season. Just quickly, but obviously before we get into the review, what were you thinking was going to happen? How did you see the game going?
To be honest with you, Lox, the same as sort of like my season preview with you. I was very, very negative. I just thought there was a sort of bad smell around the club in terms of the transfers that we'd seen slip through the net, all of that on Twitter and everything, in touching distance of a few names like Zaha that get you excited naturally. And then obviously the striker from Leverkusen fell through as well. So I just think there was a very negative feeling about the game. And Neville touched on something last night on Monday Night Football where he said it just seemed in the first half and like building up to the game that Leicester had the attitude of we've been here before. It's not exciting for us. So yeah. I felt very glass half empty. I thought, we're probably in for a stuffing here. And that was my initial thoughts on the game against Spurs.
Well, I'd say even probably at half time we thought we were going to get a stuffing, right? Because
yeah.
Before we get to that, actually, let's start at the beginning. So, first of all, Jamie Vardy, and there were rumours going around on Sunday night that he might be in and around the squad. Obviously, he was injured in pre-season. He barely played. Well, he didn't play really in pre-season after the Villarreal game. We're led to believe he didn't even train. Do you think that gave the players a boost as well, knowing that Jamie Vardy was now, starting for the Foxes in the first game?
Oh, massively. You can just tell with how his whole persona is that he's the lead man in that dressing room now. The armband speaks for that as well. But when you see Jamie Vardy on a Premier League team list, I don't care if he's 37. He's causing anyone trouble still. It's just his whole persona as a player. He knows his experience. And, it might have even unsettled heads in the opposite dressing room.
Yeah. Because... 100%. Because I mean, there's players in that Tottenham side that have been tormented by Jamie Vardy in the past. Obviously, the first half went, well, I think it went how we expected. We were peppered. We sat back quite deep. And when we won the ball, we really struggled to do anything with it, like we did in the Lens game, to be honest with you. I don't know if you watched that, but it was, I mean, for me, mate, the one positive from the first half was the fact we didn't concede more than one. And for Facundo Buonanotte, which I thought he was the only player really in that first half that when he actually had the ball, he didn't give it away. He was finding the right passes. He was beating a couple man. What did you think to him overall, but especially in the first half?
I thought he was fantastic. He was one of them players that you instantly watch lots and you think, oh God, he's just on loan, isn't he? Gutted. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna like this guy all season. I can tell. He carries the ball nicely. He's got a nice low sense of gravity. He's quick. Yeah. He's on the man all the time, and it's just nice to see. It's exciting football, isn't it? And he just carries that, I think.
And I mean, well, I was gonna say and I put a tweet out yesterday, but this is one we really can't fall in love with because he's just signed a 4-year deal. The day that he joined Leicester, he signed a 4-year deal. He's going back into that Brighton first team. He is not sticking around there. There is not even a possibility that we sign him on a permanent basis at the end of the season. You know, he is just here for this year. So it's a bit frustrating because, you know, you kind of feel that if he has a really good year, you're just going to be like, oh, well, you know, we can't make it permanent. But yeah, I agree with everything you said about him, mate. I mean, there were jokes obviously going around online about, oh, don't worry, we don't need a number 10. We've got Messi here. But I think it was one of the most impressive performances on a debut since maybe Tete. But let's not get into that one.
At Villa, I remember that.
Yeah. What did you think to the defense in the first half? Because for me, it still seemed a bit shaky, but I think they would have gone into the changing room at half time thinking like we've actually done quite well here to keep it at 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that it was full on sort of backs against the wall in the first half. It still seemed like Leicester would. This is going to sound really strange. Sat in the Championship in that first half.
Yeah.
It was like a button went and said, "Hang on, you're a Premier League side now. You've got to have a go. This is what you've got all season." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just feel like they all switched on. Some of the challenges, even like Vestergaard was making in the second half, I couldn't believe it. I was like, he looks excellent, you know.
Yeah.
And I just think the having a go style, I know you're not going to be able to do it against every team. Suited us a lot more than trying to be passing it round the back like a bit Maresca-ish like we were last season. I don't think that's going to work at all. No. And I think Cooper soon realised that.
Yeah, I agree, mate. So obviously we went in 1-0 down at half time. I'd say pretty soon into the second half, it was quite apparent that something had changed. And you know, at first thought, I thought to myself, you know, has Cooper really given them that much of a bollocking in the first half time of the season? But it came quite apparent after that no, there was a mentality switch. And since the game, Cooper has come out and Vardy and said that live on Sky that they had a chat amongst themselves at half time and they kind of all agreed that they were actually giving Tottenham too much respect, showing them too much respect. And I think that was bang on from what they said, to be fair, because we kind of did just let them have it, which I know is sometimes a good thing to do. For example, when we play Man City this season, we are gonna, you know, here's the ball. Yeah. We're just gonna try and keep it 1-2-3. You know, if you come out of a Man City game 2-0 down, you're probably happy with that. But with Tottenham, they kind of, with the small number of chances or the small number of attacks they had in the first half, I think they probably at halftime thought we could actually do something here, and there was a change in mentality, wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you say, Locks, it's teams like Man City and stuff. You're just not going to get away with that against. But we were paying them too much respect. We absolutely were. You know, the way we've got to start looking at it, and we did in the second half, is hang on a minute, we're the home team here in the Premier League. Everybody on their day should be able to put a game up against anybody, you know, other than Man City, which I'm with you completely on that one. But anyone else they're out to get, you know, Spurs are known for dropping points and easy points. So, and, you know, you've got to go and get it. And like Postecoglou said at the end of the game, he basically said, we were making these mistakes last season, we're still not learnt. And Leicester had that sort of 10, 15 minutes where, you know, we were really knocking on the door to get a second. Vardy's miss, but obviously it's horrible injury, but that really did break the play up. I felt we were really on top until that happened, and we were knocking on the door for the second. So
I mean, if you could have any complaint towards Vardy, it would be that chance that he had. I mean, 5 years ago, I think he buries that into the bottom corner for sure. It was a decent save from the keeper, definitely. But yeah, mate, no, I agree with pretty much everything you said there. I mean, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens when we do play Fulham, for example, who, you know, we know they're a good side, that we know they're better than us at the moment. You know, there aren't many teams now that we are better than, unfortunately, in the Premier League. But be interesting to see how we set up, how we start the game, because even last season you saw it, mate, that we were a second half team many occasions. So it'd be interesting to see if we can kind of take that performance from the second half and actually just have that for the whole 90. Just what you were saying as well about you mentioned the fans there. Like, I was surprised because I thought there was going to be quite a bit of negativity in the ground just because of the decisions the club have made behind the scenes with like season ticket price and the £10 to watch friendlies and the lack of transfer activity, because there was so much, you know, slander towards the Rodkin and the board and top last week. But to be fair, mate, the fans were excellent. Even when we were getting battered for the first half, they kept at it. And then I think there was a turning point early on in the second half where Victor Christensen didn't snap someone, but went in on a proper good foul. It should have been a foul, but the ref didn't give it. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Pedro Porro, and the crowd just lifted up a gear. And I think from that point on, we just looked like the better team. So do you think the KP, obviously it's not been what it was a few years ago. It's not been like that for a while, but it's going to be vital, isn't it, this season to get us over the line?
Absolutely. It's going to be massive, Locks. I mean, like you say, we've just got to look at recent history, I think. And obviously we've been very entitled as Leicester City fans. 3 trophies since 2015. And for a club our size, that's incredible. Semi-finals in European competitions and things like that. Things you could only dream of as a club our size. And then we got a bit of bad. And fair enough, it was with a team that should have never have gone down. But you know what? I would much rather watch this gutsy, I'm touching wood and saying gutsy for all season, hopefully, Leicester City side really have a go at every team every week and seeing a team full of players that should be doing better not trying. I would much rather watch what I seen in the second half last night. And the KP, and I think that will be for every fan, I think the KP, it's got to become how sort of Forest Ground was when Cooper was there. He made it into a cauldron. Nobody wanted to go. No, and that's what we've got to do. And I agree with you. I sensed that yesterday. I really felt like we were up for it, and the fans were too.
Yeah, because I remember in the Puel days, even when performances and the football, was a bit. But I remember thinking, if you think back to the Great Escape year, we were in the bottom 3 for so long, but every game was exciting. Every game felt like the players were doing their 100%, putting everything into it. And that's probably why we stayed up that year. So I think if we can have the players play, because I don't think there was, maybe Sumari. I was going to say yesterday, there wasn't one player that I thought he's not giving his all there. And Sumari, maybe, I think sometimes it's easy to pick him out and be a bit unfair on him because I think he just struggles with the tempo of the league personally. But yeah, I think if we put in the effort like we did yesterday, I think we might finish outside the top 3, but then it's just down to the points deduction and what happens with that. Yeah, absolutely. Who was your man of the match, mate? I'll just start with mine. I'm torn between Abdul Fatawu and Jamie Vardy. Abdul Fatawu struggled in the first half. I think he was learning in real time about playing against a top left back rather than some of the terrible players in the Championship. But Udogi's a great physical left back, I think. But I'm going to give it Vardy, mate, just because of the goal. Just because of the bantering of the Spurs fans, which we all love to see. And I think, to play, he's clearly not 100% fit. And he pulled off a performance. He scored a goal, could have scored another. He's my man of the match. What about you?
Yeah, it's just that Premier League class, isn't it, Locks? He's got it in abundance. He's got character for the Premier League. He's just made for it, isn't he? He didn't seem right in the Championship last season. He's too good for it. I've got to agree with you on the 2. The young lad that's coming from Brighton as well. I think he's well up there.
Yes, of course.
I think he was fantastic. But do you know what? If you give it Vardy, I'm going to give it to Fatawu. Like you said, I think he was a bit of a rabbit in the headlights in the first half. He's playing against a left back who's actually catching him, and he's not used to it. But by the end of the game, I think he was embracing it, wasn't he? He was absolutely embracing it, and I was like, "Come on, this is brilliant to watch." He's beating men now. He's getting balls in the box. He looked like he was scared to do that in the first half. So hopefully the second half carries over to Fulham, and we can get another positive result.
Well, I think last season, the performances were there last season, but the output, I think, early on, it took him a while to start getting the goals and the assists. So to see him already with an assist, I think early on last season, he might have we know he likes a shot, cutting in on the left and taking a shot. I think last season, maybe he would have done that for the Vardy goal. But I think even in a year, he's matured, and the vision as well. He saw Vardy there free at the back post. He just lofted one in. Great ball in, great pace on it. And and there there it is. So I think that will suit as well if the club do plan on bringing in maybe a more physical striker, maybe a striker that's good in the air. Of course, we know Vardy can header, he can score volleys, he can score with his left foot, whatever. But I think for Tawu, crosses like that off his left, I think that would suit maybe a bigger physical striker, which we are meant to be going after. If we ever do sign anyone. Obviously, we've just got Skip, so we'll see what happens with that. Mate, I'll just quickly ask you, just because I probably won't speak to you again before the game. Go on, just give me a score prediction for Fulham the next game. Go on.
I don't know why I've got 2-2 in my head. Ooh. I think it's going to be a bit of the same. I think they're probably really going to get on top of us. Being at home, first home game, because they were at Old Trafford, weren't they? The first game.
Yes.
And then I think the fans are going to be behind them. It's going to be almost like the start of their season at home, which it is. And I think the fans will be right behind them, and I think they'll be positive. And then I think we'll grow into the game. And I think that's when we'll probably really get back into it, and again show that we're probably not going to be pushed around like many teams think we will be.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, mate, before the season started, I think we would have taken 2 points from 2 games with how it is. And I think, it is going to be the case of just fighting it out and trying to get as many points as we can. And if that's 1 point, that's fine. And until we get better reinforcements into the team, I think that's all we can do. So 1 step closer, 1 point closer so far to safety. That might be clawed back a bit when the deduction comes, but we'll fight for it all the way, mate. Cheers for jumping on, Ash. Much appreciated. Thanks so much. And just let everyone know as well where they can find you on Twitter. Yeah,
so I've just got it's at Oceans Ash, and I just sort of follow and love football, really. I've not got my own channel or anything. I just like hopping on and talking Leicester City. So
yeah, I know you sometimes go on Dan's as well.
Yes.
So I think I spoke to him the other day, and he says you might get both of us on together sometime soon. So that's Dan Pot. What is it? Football's 12th Man, I think it's called. So
it is indeed.
So all right, thanks for watching, everyone. Much appreciated. Cheers to Ash again, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.